Absolute chaos in Moscow. Paranoia has gripped Putin like never before. Ukrainian drones drove the Kremlin insane. Air defenses have been frantically deployed across the city, with soldiers guarding every corner, even standing on the mausoleum itself. Putin is terrified for his personal palaces, pouring millions into insane security measures, but will it help? Or is he digging his own grave? Analysts are saying it loud and clear: Moscow is vulnerable, exposed, and nothing can stop the oncoming strike. The message is clear: the heart of the Russian Empire can't escape Ukraine's reach. Soon, the mausoleum may not be just a symbol, it might become Putin's final resting place. Let's talk about it. Hello, this is Ukraine Today. Maria Farafonova here with the latest updates. Putin seems increasingly afraid of Ukrainian drones. The Russian capital is frantically covered with air defense systems. Bob posted a map of the positions on his X page. Gaps are being filled with towers. These structures host Panzer S-1 surface-to-air missile and gun systems to combat Ukrainian drones and missiles. Using elevated towers expands the detection and engagement range of small, low-flying targets. The towers consist of mounts covered with plates and metal structures where the Panzer S-1 systems are installed. Notably, once placed on these towers, the Panzer S-1 units completely lose their mobility. The reinforcement of Moscow's air defense may be linked to the increasing range and effectiveness of Ukrainian cruise missiles and drones. Ukrainian long-range systems are penetrating deeper into Russian airspace, bypassing air defenses and striking critical strategic targets. In this context, Moscow likely fears that the Russian capital could become a primary target in future massive attacks. They stood right on the mausoleum, mobile fire groups spotted near the Kremlin in Moscow. Amid constant drone attacks, Russian mobile fire groups have been deployed in the capital. Observers even noticed them near the Kremlin walls. Russian Telegram channels reported that on the morning of March 16th, masked and armed officers from the Federal Protective Service patrolled the entire perimeter of the Kremlin walls. Some posts were even stationed on the mausoleum platform.
Morning at the Kremlin walls. Masked FSO officers with guns stand guard along the entire perimeter of the Kremlin wall and its towers. There are also guards on the mausoleum's platform.
A primal fear for his own safety has forced Putin to take extreme measures. The heaviest defenses are being placed around his personal residences. At Putin's palace in Valdai, the number of watchtowers has risen to 19, reinforced with S-400 and S-300 missile systems. Similar setups have appeared in Rostov, St. Petersburg, and Sochi. Putin desperately tries to shield his bases, factories, and power stations, but it's all in vain. Drones keep reaching their targets, executing their fiery work with precision. The Moscow district is Russia's most heavily defended airspace. The concentration of air defense systems is massive, noted military analyst Ivan Timochko. Still, even this does not always prevent drone strikes from hitting Moscow.
The military has little to boast about. Even with the best defenses and the most intelligence, they still miss strikes. Naturally, this does not please them. Moreover, it's important for the Russians to show unity, standing shoulder to shoulder to protect Moscow. All of this is meant to make ordinary Russians see that Muscovites, like themselves, are also at risk.
The historic tension between the provinces and Moscow, disdain from the capital and resentment from the regions has only intensified during the full-scale war. Russian propagandists may try to use shared threats to unite the country. The recent attack on the capital is also being used to justify the dense air defense coverage on the Moscow district.
In reality, the enemy won't succeed in using this issue to consolidate society. Over 4 years of the war, so many people from the provinces were sent to the front, and so many strikes were inflicted there, that Moscow must suffer considerably before it can claim it suffers alongside other cities.
Strikes on Moscow serve multiple purposes, including destabilizing the internal situation. They also have an informational and military political effect on Kremlin partners or foreign businesses planning to operate in Moscow. Such attacks can erode trust in Russia as a business partner, causing capital flight from the Russian budget.
Trust in Putin's rhetoric is eroding. They claim everything is under control in Russia and that they are winning on the front lines. How can they be winning if Ukrainian drones reach the very heart of your capital? And these aren't random flights. They are carefully planned military operations.
War has come to Moscow. The capital of the Russian Federation is under a massive UAV attack. The action has also spread to other Russian cities and regions. Here are the details.
One of the longest attacks on Moscow in the entire war. The strike on the Russian capital has lasted over a day. For the first time in the Kremlin's memory, Ukraine launched more drones at Russia than Russia did at Ukraine.
The drone attack on Moscow has been going on for several hours. 16 UAF drones were shot down on the approach to the city. At the same time, air raid sirens were not activated in Moscow or the region.
Sergei Sobyanin personally reported on the drone situation in the Russian capital. Alarming messages on the mayor's Telegram feed are updating faster than the news.
9:19. Defense Ministry Air Defense Forces destroyed 4 UAVs flying toward Moscow. Emergency service specialists are working at the site where the debris fell. 9:34. An attack by 14 UAVs was repelled by the Defense Ministry's air defense system. Emergency service specialists are working at the site where the debris fell. 9:43. 8 drones flying toward Moscow have been destroyed. Emergency service specialists are working at the site where the debris fell.
Putin is hiding in a bunker in Valdai. The Moscow elite is hastily evacuating the capital, while the military pulls every available air defense system toward the Kremlin. As a result, there are currently about 100 towers for Pantsir air defense systems around Moscow. That's almost twice as many as were protecting the Russian capital in 2025. Overall, a 50-kilometer air defense ring has been created around Moscow, but even it can't cope with the massive UAF attack. Russian missile crews are shooting down drones right over residential neighborhoods. Residents of Vnukovo near Moscow are complaining about the endless cannonade of explosions and shrapnel falling on their heads.
Holy crap, how do I even show it? They blew it up somewhere right here, and over there, behind that house. There's a quarry dug out there, and that's where the silicate plant is. So they were filming there, but it exploded somewhere around here.
Residents of Volgograd, Russia, haven't slept since last night either.
My hands are shaking crazy.
The city's air defenses haven't stopped for a single moment. Local residents are broadcasting live reports from cellars and toilets.
Do what you want, but I'm staying in the bathroom for a bit.
It seems that this time the local power plant and the nearby Lukoil refinery likely won't survive.
It's already done, and those bastards just keep on coming.
During the daylight hours, Novorossiysk is now bearing the brunt of the massive raid on Russian territory. Local residents report air defenses in action, and white smoke is seen coming from the port. The Kremlin also lost 2 of its ships over the weekend. Fighters from our main intelligence directorate managed to hit the ferry Slavyanin and the vessel Avangard, which formed the basis of the Kerch ferry crossing and played a key role in the enemy's naval logistics. Specifically, we are talking about the transport of weapons, military equipment, ammunition, and fuel.
These ferries have been hit before in previous years, and in 2024, they specifically targeted the Slavyanin ferry as well. So there is some damage in that regard too. And they say that these ferries, the Slavyanin and the Avangard, were seemingly the last ones capable of carrying rail tankers from one shore, meaning the Krasnodar region, to the other shore in Kerch in Crimea.
The occupiers will find no peace on land, on water, or in the air. Ukrainian armed forces drones also visited Putin's military airfields this weekend. For instance, the Kanskaya airfield in Maykop was attacked. Also in the region, UAVs visited military-industrial complex enterprises in Nevinomysk and Kirovo-Chepetsk. As a result, instead of actively fighting Ukrainian drones, the Kremlin has taken up the fight against the spread of information about the strikes. Russian authorities are cutting off the internet en masse across the country. Without the World Wide Web, even Moscow is in an information vacuum. For over a week now, the Russian capital has seen large-scale disruptions in mobile service and network access. Even the so-called whitelist entities of the Ministry of Digital Development, services that were supposed to remain available during restrictions, are barely working. A weak signal can only be caught in certain areas and in the moving subway.
They've brought us back a bit. Remember how people used to say, oh, take me back to my, 2008? It's something like that.
And it's only gonna get much worse. Russia is returning to the Stone Age in giant leaps. In 2026, Muscovites are buying up pagers, paper maps, and landline phones.
Even more radically, they say sales of pagers, landline phones, and walkie-talkies have jumped by up to 70% this week alone.
With communication disruptions and internet blocks, people are returning to old methods of contact, and atlases are replacing GPS. A little more, and instead of taxis, they'll be launching horse-drawn carriages across the border. Muscovites won't be messaging on Telegram or even X, but by carrier pigeon.
Ukraine is developing its own version of an Iron Dome. This system will include 4 key components and will differ significantly from the Israeli model. What makes it unique? Let's take a closer look.
Is it the end for enemy Shaheds? Ukraine is launching a new weapon against kamikaze drones. Ukrainian interceptor drones have become a real global hit. More and more Persian Gulf countries are interested in the Ukrainian anti-drone system. It's reported that Saudi Arabia is in talks with Ukraine about a major arms deal. And this is far from the first interested country. Ukraine sent interceptor drones and a team of experts to Jordan to protect American military bases. Right now, no one in the world has more experience fighting Iranian drones than Kyiv. The Ukrainian interceptor drone Sting is one of the most effective means of shooting down Shaheds. The percentage of its successful hits is almost 90%. But now, the number of destroyed Russian Shaheds will become much larger. A Ukrainian company has started mass-producing air baby interceptors, and its task is precisely to catch up and destroy the enemy drone.
The essence of the physical principles that underlie the operation of all interceptor drones is, in fact, practically the same, fundamentally speaking. A radar station is used to guide the operator to the drone, well, specifically the one that is being intercepted at that particular moment. The operator then makes visual contact with the target, well, and after that, the interceptor drone proceeds to carry out its assigned job, performing the necessary actions to complete its mission.
In modern warfare with cheap Russian Shaheds, it's drones that are becoming the main air defense, as they have a major advantage.
The Americans can only produce 600 Patriot missiles so far. But 60,000 interceptor drones can be produced. It's a cheap, effective, and easily adaptable means of counteraction.
And countries that have even the best air defense systems eventually realize that this isn't the best defense option.
The largest Patriot manufacturer in America produces 60 to 65 missiles a month, so it's clear these stocks will be exhausted by any country. No matter how many of these missiles there are, they won't be enough to fight Iranian Shahids.
But the air defense reform is just the beginning. After all, the Air Force is talking about creating something bigger, a Ukrainian Iron Dome.
At the moment, we have 4 clearly understood components that will work to create our Ukrainian dome. It will differ from the Israeli one because our dome must be much larger. On our dome, let's say, the Israeli dome is just a tiny little spot, in terms of size, I mean. So it's possible to saturate a spot with expensive missiles, but saturating our dome with, say, large missiles like Patriot or Iris-T is impossible.
But will this dome actually be better than the Israeli one? And in what way exactly?
In military terms, it is called a unified integrated air defense system. So, the essence of the idea really boils down to this, that all the various means of observation and detection of enemy targets are actually combined and integrated together with the means of their interception. To include all this in such a delta, roughly speaking, an automated one. Obviously, our system will be better than the Israeli one. I am sure of it.
The Ukrainian defense industry is developing at a record pace. It has long since stopped relying on the help of friendly countries and started betting on its own technologies for defense against Russian attacks. But how strong will the dome be even with such technologies?
When data is quickly transferred from detection means to destruction means, the reaction time is reduced. The reaction time is reduced, which means the time from making a decision to destroy a target increases. And if you didn't destroy it, you get a second chance.
Ukraine's production capacity has grown almost 50-fold and already provides more than half of the armed forces' weapons needs. And it is perfectly logical that other countries are interested in cooperating with Ukraine.
Our experience in how to fight Shaheds is unique. No one else has such experience. The question is not only about having drone interceptors. The question is about integrating this into the general air defense system in specific software. And most importantly, it's the experience that our military has.
Kyiv goes even further. The President of Ukraine and the President of Romania agreed on joint production of drones, which will be located on Romanian territory. Ukraine is creating a new sky defense. With an Iron Dome and interceptor drones, the enemy Shahed will no longer pass. A new stage of Ukrainian air defense has already begun.
What do you think about the latest events? Share your opinion in the comments, like the video and subscribe to stay informed about the main headlines. See you soon!